Okay, right. Let's unpack this one. We are diving into a world of motorsport where, honestly, extreme just doesn't quite cut it.
No, it really doesn't.
We're talking about the Isle of Man TT. The Tour's Trophy races, it's legendary, it happens every year, and it's basically defined by insane speed, huge risk, and, well, of course, that's just unforgiving.
Absolutely. It's the ultimate road race, held every May and June. And our sources, they all point to the same thing. The real star here isn't the bike, it isn't even the rider, it's the course itself.
The Schneefel Mountain Course.
That's the one.
And what a course. I mean, this isn't some sterile, purpose-built track we're talking about.
Not at all.
It's 37.73 miles of closed public roads. It winds through villages, countryside, and get this, 219 corners.
219. It's staggering.
So you listening, you need to really picture this. Riders hitting speeds like close to 200 miles per hour while flying past stone walls, lamp posts, curbs, manhole covers, everything, plus massive elevation changes.
And the format itself is pretty unique too, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's a time trial, purely against the clock.
Right. Riders start one by one, usually 10 seconds apart. So you're not really racing the guy next to you on track, position-wise.
Right.
It's all about your lap time. It turns into this high-speed test of, like, precision and pure nerve. Completely different feel from a normal circuit race with everyone bunched up.
And even with all the controversy, which we'll definitely get into, this race pulls in huge crowds. Massive sport.
Oh, absolutely. It's completely woven into the fabric of the island, you know? Draws something like, what, over 40,000 visitors every year?
Yeah, huge numbers. But okay, to understand why a race this, frankly, insane even exists, we have to go back, way back. And it starts with something really quite dull.
Huh, yeah. British law. Bureaucracy, basically.
Exactly. Why on earth did this incredibly dangerous high-speed race start on this tiny island sitting in the middle of the Irish Sea?
Well, because back in the early 1900s, you just couldn't legally race like this across most of the UK.
Right, there was this law, the Motor Car Act of 1903, and it slapped this really restrictive 20-mile-per-hour speed limit on all cars on public roads.
20 miles per hour. So yeah, that pretty much killed any chance of proper road racing right there.
So the organizers, they had to look elsewhere, didn't they? Somewhere outside those mainland UK rules.
And they found the Isle of Man, which has its own government, its own laws. The Manx government saw an opportunity, I suppose.
They passed the Highways Light Locomotive Act. That was 1904.
Right, and that act specifically allowed them to close public roads for high-speed trials. Initially, it was for cars, actually. But that directly paved the way for the first motorcycle TT, which happened in 1907.
And the rules for that very first motorbike race, they're fascinating.
Yeah.
Because they tell you exactly what the priority was back then. And it wasn't just raw speed.
Not at all. It was more about, well, utility, reliability. That first race, it was held on a shorter course, too. The St. John's short course, about 15, 16 mile.
And the rule book, what was in there?
Oh, it's brilliant. It mandated things like proper saddles, pedals.
Yeah.
Yes, pedals on motorcycles, mud guards, exhaust silencers. You even had to carry a full toolkit.
So they were basically testing if these things were practical touring machines.
Exactly. Could they actually handle the roads and keep going? Reliability was key.
But the biggest restriction, the one that really defined it early on, was fuel economy, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. That was crucial. To even enter, your bike had to prove it was incredibly efficient. Like single-cylinder machines, they needed to hit 90 miles per gallon.
90. That's incredible. Even now, it's an engineer's game back then.
Totally. But, you know, once you open that door, speed finds a way.
Right.
Charlie Collier, he won that first race in 1907. His average speed, 38.22 miles per hour.
Okay. Respectable for the time, I guess.
But just 3 years later, by 1910, the average winning speed had leapt, really, up to 55.15 miles per hour.
Wow, okay, that's a big jump.
And suddenly, the little St. John's course, it just couldn't cope with that kind of pace anymore. It was getting too fast, too dangerous for that layout.
So that big jump in speed is why, in 1911, they made the change. The big one.
Yep. The definitive shift. They moved the race to the much longer, much tougher Schneefel Mountain Course, which back then measured about 37.4 miles.
And this wasn't just a change of scenery. This changed everything. For the race and for motorcycle tech, too.
Oh, massively. What's absolutely crucial here, the thing you have to grasp, is the impact of the mountain section itself, the steep gradients.
Ah, okay. Because bikes before then were...
Well, many of them were single-gear machines. Perfectly fine for tootling along on relatively flat roads in those early touring-style races.
But hit a proper climb.
Exactly. Hit those steep Manx hills, those mountain gradients, and those single-gear bikes. They just couldn't handle it. They'd bog down, stall out.
So the course itself made them obsolete overnight.
Pretty much. The demands of the mountain course, suddenly you needed gears. It forced manufacturers immediately to develop reliable transmissions, clutches, gearboxes. You had to have them to even be competitive. It was a massive technological jumpstart, driven purely by the track.
But that pace of change, that increasing speed, it had a dark side right from the start on the mountain course.
It did. Sadly, the course saw its first fatality in that very first year, 1911. A rider named Victor Surge died during practice. The danger was ramping up, arguably faster than the safety measures were.
And you can see that lag, that gap between the danger and the safety rules really clearly in what happened in 1927, the tragedy with Archie Birkin.
Yeah, that was horrific. He died during practice because he had to swerve to avoid a fish van, a commercial van, doing its rounds.
On the course.
Yes.
During practice.
Yes. Because back then, believe it or not, the roads weren't always fully closed even for practice.
That's unbelievable.
It took Birkin's death, that specific awful incident, to finally make the organizers, the Auto Cycle Union, mandate that the roads must be completely closed for all official practice sessions from then on.
It's a really sobering thought, isn't it? That almost every safety protocol we see at the TT today was probably prompted by someone losing their life. Paid for in blood, essentially.
It often seems that way in motorsport history, unfortunately. So, okay, if 1927 showed they could adapt, eventually, what does the modern race actually look like? How's it structured today?
Right, so today, the whole TT event is basically a 2-week festival of speed. It runs for 13 days, kicking off on the last Monday in May.
2 weeks. Yeah.
The first week is all practice and qualifying, giving riders crucial time to learn the course, dial in their bikes. It's incredibly complex. You need that time.
And absolutely vital on a course like that.
Then the second week is race week, with actual races scheduled, but also, importantly, built-in rest days, which often become contingency days if the weather turns bad.
Which it frequently does on the Isle of Man.
Oh, yeah. And we have to hammer this home again, the time trial format. It's key.
Right. You're not side by side on a starting grid fighting for the first corner?
Nope. You're flagged off alone. 10 seconds behind the rider in front. 10 seconds ahead of the rider behind. It's just you, the bike, the road, and the stopwatch.
Overtaking obviously happens, and it's necessary because you're sharing that narrow road.
Sure. But ultimately, your only real competitor is the clock. Can you beat the best time set by everyone else?
And just getting to the start line takes serious commitment. You can't just rock up.
No way. You need national or international racing licenses. You have to prove you've got significant road racing experience.
And often, riders come up through the Manx Grand Prix, right?
Yeah.
Which uses the same course.
Yeah, the Manx is seen as a crucial stepping stone for amateurs wanting to eventually tackle the TT proper. Learn the course at slightly lower speeds. Prove yourself there first.
Okay, so let's talk about the bikes, the different classes, because that really dictates the kind of speeds and technology we're seeing.
Right. At the very top, the pinnacle, you got the Superbike TT.
These are the monsters.
Pretty much. We're talking highly modified machines, usually 750cc up to 1000cc 4-cylinders, or maybe 1200cc twins, pushing out well over 200 horsepower these days, maybe closer to 250 at the crank for some. They are built for one thing, outright speed on the TT course.
Then, kind of the next step down in outright power is the Supersport TT. Yeah, this is basically the modern version of the old junior TT class. Much tighter rules on modifications compared to superbikes.
What sort of bikes are we talking?
Typically 600cc 4-cylinders, or maybe 675cc triples, 750cc twins, around, say, 130 horsepower. They're lighter, more nimble perhaps, more focus on handling through the twisty bits.
Okay, and then there's this other big bike class, the Superstock TT. Yeah. Which sounds similar to Superbike, but isn't.
Right, this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you're into the engineering side. Superstock bikes use similar base engines to the superbikes up to 1000cc, but the modifications allowed are severely restricted. They have to stay much closer to the standard showroom model. And, critically, they have to run on treaded road-legal tires, not pure racing slicks like the superbikes.
Treaded tires at those speeds.
Which leads to this fascinating situation.
You'd think the superbike, with more power and slick tires, would always be faster, right?
That's the conventional wisdom, but it's not always true at the TT Peter Hickman's current current outright lap record, the fastest lap ever.
Yeah.
He set that in a super stock race.
Get out! How? On tread-in tires.
Well, the thinking goes something like this. Because the superstock bikes are less stressed, less tuned to the absolute rugged edge,
Okay.
they can sometimes be more reliable over the full 6-lap race distance, maybe slightly easier to ride consistently fast lap after lap. A rider might feel they can push closer to 100% for longer, trusting the bike won't break or the tires won't degrade quite as aggressively as a full-blown superbike on slicks.
So consistency and reliability over brute power can sometimes win out over a single lap.
It seems so. It means they can carry maybe just a fractionally higher average speed over the whole lap, even if the superbike has a higher top speed on the straights. It's fascinating.
That really is. Okay, what other classes are there?
We've also got the relatively newer Super Twin TT class. That's for twin-cylinder bikes, sort of 600cc to 700cc capacity range, popular class.
And the sidecars. We can't forget the sidecars.
Absolutely not. The sidecar TT. It's been part of the TT on and off since way back in 1923. It's a completely different discipline.
Oh, it looks terrifyingly brilliant. The driver and the passenger. The chair.
Yeah, the passenger or monkey hanging out, shifting their weight constantly. It's this incredible, dangerous ballet at high speed. 2 races for them during the week.
So for the main races, like the superbike race, they run 6 laps.
6 laps for the senior TT and the superbike TT, which is, what, about 226 miles?
That's a long way on a bike like that. You can't do that on one tank of fuel.
No way. The bikes can typically only manage 2 laps before needing fuel, so that means mandatory pit stops.
Right, let's talk pit stops, because this isn't like F1 or MotoGP pit stops, is it? It's different.
Very different, more basic in a way, but just as crucial. You have to come in twice during a 6-lap race, and that stop has to be perfect, lightning fast.
How do they refuel so quickly?
It's actually quite low-tech but effective. They use gravity-fed fuel systems, basically large fuel churns hoisted up high on a gantry. Hoses come down with quick release, dry brake couplings that snap onto the bike's tank. Gravity does the work, pours the fuel in incredibly fast. It's generally seen as faster and safer for this environment than pressurized pump systems.
And while the fuel's going in, the pit lane is chaos.
Controlled chaos. Yeah, the crew swarms the bike. Cleaning the rider's visor is vital, giving them a drink, checking basic things, wiping down the screen.
And giving them info, like where they are in the race.
Yep, usually on a pit board as they arrive and leave. And crucially, in the superbike and senior races, one of those stops usually involves a rear tire change.
Changing a wheel that fast.
A slick crew can do a rear wheel change in under 10 seconds. It's amazing to watch. Get the fueling done, new tire on, visor clean, rider takes a breath, maybe a quick splash of water, and bang back out onto the course. That whole stop, maybe under a minute if they nail it. Lose time here, and your race could be over.
Incredible pressure. Now, we need to shift gear a bit. Talk about the TT on the world stage. Because for a long time, this wasn't just some quirky local event.
No, absolutely not. For decades, the TT was genuinely international, a really big deal globally.
From 1949 right through to 1976, the TT actually was the British round of the FEM Motorcycle Grand Prix World Championship.
Yeah, the series that eventually became today's MotoGP. So you had the absolute best riders, the best factory teams in the world, all coming to the Isle of Man every year.
That must have been an amazing era.
It's seen as a golden era. You had manufacturers like the Italian giants, MV Agusta, just dominating. They racked up something like 33 TT wins. And the riders, absolute legends. Giacomo Agostini, maybe the greatest ever. He won 10 World Championship TT races here. Mike Halewood, Phil Reed. The biggest names were racing and winning on the mountain course.
But it didn't last. That relationship, it soured pretty dramatically in the early 1970s, didn't it?
It did. Things started to unravel. The core problem wasn't just that the course was incredibly difficult and dangerous. It always had been.
So what changed?
It was a combination of factors. The sheer number of fatalities was becoming harder to ignore, especially as safety improved on purpose-built circuits. Plus, there were ongoing disputes about start money.
Start money.
Yeah, the guaranteed payment riders got just for turning up and racing. The top riders felt it wasn't enough to justify the immense risk compared to what they could earn more safely elsewhere in the World Championship.
So the risk-reward balance just got totally out of whack for them.
Exactly. And it led to boycotts. Big names, factory teams, started refusing to race the TT.
And the tipping point came with Agostini himself.
Yeah, that was the defining moment, really. In 1972, Agostini, a 15-time world champion, the biggest star in the sport by far, he publicly announced he would never race a TT again. Full stop.
Wow. What reason did he give?
He was scathing. He basically called the course too dangerous for international competition. Said it was an outrageous risk to ask professional riders to take, especially for the money on offer. He slammed the organizers.
When the biggest name in the sport says that and pulls out.
The writing was on the wall. The consequences were, well, pretty immediate and brutal for the TT's international standing. It clung on for a few more years, but it lost its world championship status after the 1976 event.
So this race, despite all its history and prestige, was essentially kicked out of the top tier, rejected by the modern face of Grand Prix racing because it was just seen as too dangerous.
That's pretty much it. The rest of the sport was moving towards safer, purpose-built circuits, and the TT just couldn't or wouldn't change its fundamental nature, so it lost its place at the top table.
While we're talking history, we should mention some gender milestones, too. It wasn't always open to everyone.
No, that's true. In 1962, a woman named Beryl Swain made history. She became the first woman to compete in a solo TT race, riding a 50cc bike.
That must have been a big moment.
You'd think so. But controversially, the organizers actually revoked her international license shortly after, effectively banning women from competing again. The official reason cited was safety concerns.
Seriously. They banned women after one had competed.
Yeah. It seems incredible now. That ban actually stood for years until 1978, when another woman, Hilary Musin, finally broke through and competed again.
Right. Now, we can't talk about the TT without confronting the safety record head-on. It's unavoidable.
Absolutely unavoidable. And the numbers, the cumulative data, it is staggering.
Between 1907, when it started, and 2023, just looking at official practices and races on the mountain course itself, there have been 156 competitor fatalities.
156. And if you include deaths during the Manx Grand Prix and other events held on the same course, the total number of competitor deaths rises to 269.
269 riders. That's hard to comprehend.
It really is. And some years have been particularly bad. We've seen incidents over the years that just highlight the need for constant vigilance. The years 1970 and more recently 2022 stand out. They were the deadliest years on record. Both saw 6 competitor fatalities during the TT fortnight.
And the safety concerns aren't just about the inherent dangers of the course and the speed. Sometimes it's about the organization itself.
Exactly. Which brings us to that major incident in 2018, the course car collision.
Right. Tell us about that.
Okay, so during a practice session, a red flag came out, stopping the session. An experienced rider, Steve Mercer, was instructed by marshals to return to the grandstand area.
Standard procedure, usually.
Usually. But crucially, he was told to ride back in the reverse direction of the course, against the normal flow of traffic.
Hang on, ride the wrong way back down the track, while other official vehicles might be out there.
Precisely. And tragically, he collided head-on with an official course car. An SUV apparently being driven at high speed, responding to the incident that caused the red flag in the first place.
My God, Mercer was seriously injured.
Very seriously injured. Life-changing injuries. It was a catastrophic failure of communication and procedure between race control and the marshals on the ground.
What happened afterwards? What changed?
Well, the organizers had to act immediately. They brought in strict new protocols. Now, if riders have to be escorted back after a red flag, they must be controlled by official traveling marshals, both at the front and the rear of the group of riders. No more uncontrolled riding back, especially not against the course direction.
So a direct response to that specific failure.
Yes. The governing body, the ACU, did admit liability for Mercer's injuries, but significantly, the full internal inquiry report into exactly what went wrong, that was kept confidential. It wasn't made public.
Which obviously leads to questions about transparency, doesn't it?
It does. It left some unanswered questions for sure.
Okay, let's shift back to the racing itself, the speed, because the evolution there is just mind-blowing when you think back to that 38-mile-per-hour average in 1907.
It's almost comical now, isn't it? But the progress was relentless. Even early on, the records show it clearly.
When did speeds really start climbing?
Well, by 1926, a rider called Jimmy Simpson broke the 70-mile-per-hour average lap barrier for the first time.
70 miles an hour average, around there, in the 20s? That's impressive.
Then another big milestone in 1938. Harold Daniels set the first race average speed over 90 miles per hour. And that record actually stood for over a decade, partly due to World War II interrupting things.
90 miles per hour average for the whole race distance. And now, today?
Oh, today's speeds are just on another planet, absolutely astronomical. Peter Hickman, we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, the current record holder.
He holds the outright lap record,
Yeah.
set in 2023. His average speed over one lap, that 37.73-mile lap, was 136.358 miles per hour.
136. Average. On public roads.
Average, including slowing for all 219 corners, going through villages.
Yeah.
It's genuinely hard to wrap your head around.
That's just, yeah, mind-bending is the word. And achieving speeds like that, winning races.
Yeah.
That's how you become a legend there.
Absolutely. Speed equals glory at the TT Hickman. He's chasing the all-time wins record now.
Who holds that?
That's currently held by Michael Dunlop, nephew of another TT icon. Michael has 33 wins as of now.
33. Wow. Who's next?
Well, Michael overtook the previous record holder, his late uncle, the legendary Joey Dunlop. Joey amassed 26 wins in his incredible career, an absolute god on the Isle of Man.
Joey Dunlop. Yeah, iconic name.
And then you've got another modern great, John McGuinness, still racing, on 23 wins. These guys are the absolute icons of the modern era.
Now, to manage all this speed, all this risk over such a long course, the support infrastructure must be pretty critical too.
Oh, vital. We mentioned the traveling marshals briefly before.
Right, the guys on bikes who patrol the course?
Yeah, there are 8 of them. They're all highly experienced former racers themselves, first aid trained. They ride the course during practices and races.
What's their main job?
They're essentially the rapid response team. They provide initial support at incidents, report back to race control, check the course conditions. They were actually introduced way back in 1935, so they've been part of the fabric for ages. They're the eyes and ears out there.
And for the public, for the island to keep functioning during race week.
Yeah, you need things like the TT access road, which sounds simple, but it's important. It's a dedicated road that actually runs underneath the race course at a key point near the start finish.
Underneath, like a tunnel.
Sort of, yeah. It allows residents and essential vehicles to cross from one side of the course to the other, even while the main roads are closed for racing. It keeps the island moving to some degree.
Right, okay. So, bringing this all together then,
Yeah.
what does it all mean? What is the Isle of Man TT today?
I think it's kind of a living relic, isn't it? It's this unique, potent blend of early 20th century motorsport history born out of those quirky old rules mixed with hyper-modern, incredibly sophisticated engineering.
And it seems permanently locked in this tension, this constant balancing act between tradition, speed, and, well, lethal risk.
That's the core of it, I think. And the question really for you, the listener, is about that balance. Where does it sit now and where is it going?
Yeah, we've seen how the bikes have evolved. Peter Hickman averaging over 136 mile per hour on roads where, a century ago, they were arguing about 20 mile per hour speed limits.
And we know the fatality rate remains persistently, tragically high. We know its peak international status ended specifically because the leaders of the sport felt the course was fundamentally too dangerous.
So the provocative thought to leave you with is this. What does the future actually hold for a race like this, where the relentless pursuit of speed seems almost destined to constantly push against and sometimes break through the limits of safety protocols?
Is there a breaking point? Where does tradition end and unacceptable risk begin in the 21st century? What's the limit? That's really the question the TT poses year after year, and it's something you have to grapple with after diving into its story.